Welcome to Smart Wealth with Joshua.
Your daily stock analysis and catalysts talk. Today we're looking at Nebius Group.
If you find our talks useful, please consider subscribe, like, and comment underneath to support our podcast. And if there's any stock you want us to look into, leave it in the comment section below.
So let's get into the analysis.
All right. Let's start with the top line here, because Nebius Group is showing some pretty incredible growth.
Hypergrowth is probably the only word for it, really, especially when you look at the core business.
Okay, so let's unpack that. The recent Q3 2025 revenue was, what, $146 million? What was the story there?
Yeah, and that number itself represents a massive, something like a 355% year-over-year increase.
Which is huge for any company.
It is, but you have to dig a little deeper. The key is that the core AI infrastructure part, the bit that makes up almost 90% of their revenue, that segment expanded even faster. We're talking 400% year-over-year.
Wow. Okay, so the main engine is accelerating faster than the rest of the company.
Exactly. And here's where it gets, I think, really interesting. Management has basically said that their revenue growth was only held back by the capacity they could physically get online.
So it's not a demand problem at all?
Not at all. Demand is actually exceeding supply. They can't build it fast enough.
That's a very good problem to have.
It is. That capacity scarcity is the whole story right now. The annualized run rate revenue coming out of Q3, it hit $551 million.
Which puts them on track for their full-year guidance, right? 500 to 550 million range.
Right on the money, pacing them toward the midpoint. They're executing on what they have, but the real potential is just sitting there waiting.
Waiting for more hardware. And when we talk about future growth, this is where those truly massive contracts come into play.
This is the backbone of the entire bullish case, I think. These multi-year, multi-billion-dollar deals they've signed.
With the hyperscalers?
With the biggest players, yeah. You've got $3 billion in committed revenue from Microsoft.
Okay.
And then another $3 billion from Meta. And that's locked in over 5 years.
That kind of guaranteed commitment it mitigates a ton of the execution risk, doesn't it?
A huge amount. And if we connect this to their forward-looking targets, the numbers get even bigger.
How big are we talking?
Well, for 2025, management is guiding to an ARR of somewhere between $900 million and $1.1 billion.
So annual recurring revenue, basically what they expect from existing contracts.
Correct. But that's not the real headline. The number that everyone is watching, the one the stock is really priced on, is the projection for $7 to $9 billion in ARR by the end of 2026.
Wait, say that again? 7 to 9 billion.
That's right. It's a 7 to 9 times expansion in just 12 months.
That would make them one of the fastest scaling infrastructure companies on the planet.
Globally, yes. It's an incredibly ambitious target.
Okay, so let's pivot to the cost of that ambition. A growth rate like that, it must require a staggering amount of capital.
It does. And this is where the major risks start to pop up.
Right.
Cash flow, dilution.
Let's talk about that. Despite the incredible revenue numbers, the net loss actually got wider in Q3, right? To about $120 million.
$119.6 million, yeah. But that loss is really a reflection of their strategy. It's an aggressive reinvestment.
So what's driving it?
It's the CapEx. They raised their 2025 CapEx guidance from $2 billion up to $5 billion.
$5 billion, wow.
That money's going straight into buying more GPUs, including the latest NVIDIA Blackwell Ultra chips, and building out more data centers. So yeah, they are burning cash, but it's intentional. They're choosing capacity over short-term profit.
Which brings up the big question, right? Is this a calculated land grab, or is the business model just structurally unprofitable?
And the data, I think, really supports the land grab idea. And this is critical. The core infrastructure business itself is already profitable.
Okay, so the part that's actually running is making money.
A good amount, actually. It hit an adjusted EBITDA margin of almost 19% in Q3, and it's growing.
So operational leverage is already kicking in.
It is. The losses are from the cost of building the future business, not running the current one. Management actually expects to get to slightly positive adjusted EBITDA for the whole group by the end of 2025.
Which would set up 2026 for a huge swing to profitability as those big deals come online.
That's the plan. That's the inflection point everyone's waiting for.
But what about the balance sheet? How do you support a $5 billion spending spree?
It's surprisingly strong for a company growing this fast. They call it fortress balance sheet. They actually have a negative net debt position of minus $2.4 billion.
Meaning more cash than debt.
A lot more. But to manage that huge CapEx number, They also have a flexible at-the-market, or ATM, equity program.
Okay, so they can sell shares into the market over time.
Exactly. Up to 25 million Class A shares. They can use it opportunistically when the stock price is favorable to minimize the dilution. It's a very strategic balancing act.
So in a market this competitive, with giants like Amazon and Microsoft, what's Nebius Group's moat? What stops the big guys from just crushing them?
Well, the moat is really built on three things right now: capacity, scarcity, their own tech stack, and then the switching costs from those big deals.
Scarcity being the biggest one, I assume?
By far. They've just launched their AI Cloud 3.1 platform, which integrates the latest NVIDIA Blackwell Ultra chips. They're on the absolute bleeding edge of compute supply.
And having those chips is everything right now.
It is. The supply is so tight. By locking down that capacity, they have something the big generalized cloud providers might struggle to offer at the same scale.
And then the mega deals lock customers in, which creates those high switching costs.
Absolutely. Once Microsoft and Meta build their models and their pipelines on the Nebius infrastructure, it becomes incredibly difficult and expensive to leave. You're essentially locked in for years.
Now, we should mention the opposing view here. Some analysts have argued there's no moat, citing how capital intensive this is.
And that's a fair point. You can't just dismiss it. But that view often overlooks the current supply-demand reality. The bullish argument is that they are actively creating a moat through scale and relationships that maybe traditional models don't fully capture yet.
Right, because they have this sold-out capacity and the guaranteed buyers.
Exactly. That's a powerful combination.
Let's talk about the stock itself for a minute. It's been on a wild ride, up over 200% this year, but then it had that, 30% pullback from the highs in October?
Yeah, it was a sharp drop. It was trading in the high 80s to low 90s recently.
And part of that was driven by some noise around insider selling, right?
Correct. The founder, Arkady Veloz, and some other execs filed to sell shares. That always spooks the market a bit.
Creates a bit of an overhang.
It does. But this pullback has actually created what looks like a constructive technical setup. It formed a higher low pattern with pretty strong support noted right around that $80 to $85 area.
Which is near the 200-day moving average, a key level for institutional buyers.
Right. And on top of that, you have pretty high short interest, around 15.5% of the float.
So what does that mean for volatility going forward?
It means you have the potential for a really powerful short squeeze. If the company keeps executing and confirms that huge 2026 guidance,
The shorts will have to run for the exits.
and that forced buying could just amplify any move to the upside in a really dramatic way.
Okay, so what are the key catalysts? What should investors be watching for over the next, say, 3 months?
The single most important event is the Q4 2025 earnings release. That'll be late January or early February 2026.
And everyone will be looking for one thing.
Two things, really. First, do they hit that 900 million to 1.1 billion ARR target for 2025? But more importantly, do they confirm or refine that 7 to 9 billion guidance for 2026?
Any update on that number will be huge.
It could move the stock instantly. And outside of earnings, you just want to watch for operational news.
Like milestones on getting that new NVIDIA hardware deployed.
Exactly. And updates on the revenue ramp from the Microsoft and Meta deals. Any positive news there just confirms they're on the right path to hitting that massive 2026 target.
So to sum it all up, Nebius Group is a really aggressive play. High risk, high reward, betting everything on the AI infrastructure supercycle.
It is. They're sacrificing short-term profits for a massive scale, but it's backed by these multi-billion-dollar locked-in deals. The entire thesis really just hangs on one thing.
Their ability to execute on that 2026 number.
If they can hit that $7 to $9 billion ARR target, the whole story works.
A true high flyer, then. It definitely requires a strong stomach for volatility, but the upside is compelling if, and it's a big if, management delivers. Make sure you subscribe to Smart Wealth with Joshua so you don't miss our next analysis.